Hey you guys, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are already part of the family, for those of you who are new, hello, my name is Kiara Selena. I'm a licensed practical nurse, and on my channel I mainly talk about nursing, but we also do a bit of beauty, hair, makeup, and all of that. So if you are into that, please make sure you subscribe and turn on your notification bell so you won't miss another video from me again. So in today's video, I just wanted to come on here and I wanted to talk about 5 main myths I hear a lot about LPNs. I get a lot of messages, DMs, emails from people, basically asking me to confirm whether or not these myths are true or false, because I don't know, there's all these rumors going around about LPNs, and some people are considering LPN, but they're, a little bit skeptical because of all these myths that they're hearing. So I wanted to clarify things and really talk about these 5 main myths that I hear about LPNs, just to give you guys a kind of a better understanding about what it is that we do, and to kind of just like set the record straight, because a lot of these are just, not a lot of these, all of the things that I'm going to mention are false. So the first myth about LPNs, and I'm sure that everyone has heard this, but the first myth is that LPNs are not real nurses. Now, I don't know why it is that people say that LPNs are not real nurses, even though we are practical nurses. It's literally in our name. If we were nursing assistants, we would just be called nursing assistants, but we are called practical nurses because we are nurses. However, there are different levels of nursing. So just because there's levels of nursing higher than ours doesn't mean that we're any less of a nurse than the person who has a higher degree. Just like if somebody is an ADN RN, that doesn't make them any less of a nurse than someone who's a BSN RN. Same way, if someone's a BSN RN, it doesn't make them any less of a nurse than someone who has a master's degree in nursing. We're all nurses, just different levels of nurses and different amounts of time spent in school, but that doesn't make anyone less of a nurse. All nurses, different levels. That's it. That's all. The second myth about LPNs is that there is no diversity for LPNs, or, one thing that I hear a lot is that LPNs can only work in long-term care, which is honestly like really, really false. Now, LPNs tend to work a lot more in long-term care just because in hospitals, people tend to be sicker, and the sicker a patient is, the more they will fall in the hands of an RN, because an RN has more advanced nursing knowledge, right? But that doesn't mean that LPNs can't work in hospitals. I've met so many LPNs who worked in hospitals. Even I have worked in hospitals as a CNA and as an LPN. And we work in hospitals. The only thing is we may not be able to work in certain areas such as ICU, because once again, people who are in the intensive care unit are very, very ill, and the sicker you are, the more you will fall in the hands of an RN, like I said before. But you can work in emergency, you can work in pre-op, post-op, med-surg, rehab. You could work anywhere, really, almost anywhere in the hospital other than like the ICU. I've never seen an LPN in ICU. And outside of the hospital, there's so much diversity. Look at the office that I'm in. Like, there is diversity for LPNs. So that is not true. You do have a lot of options for LPNs. I want you guys to go check out my friend Latacia Ann. She's a nurse esthetician. She opened her own medical spa, and yeah, she's basically killing it, and she's an LPN. So there are a lot of options for LPNs out there. Don't let anybody tell you that like you're gonna be stuck in geriatrics, because that is not the case. The next myth is that LPNs cannot work without RNs, which once again is a myth, because once again, look at the office that I'm in, there is not one RN here. Now, there is an RN who works in the building, and he is only here during the day. In the evening, for the evening shift, I am basically like, I run the show. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I work 100% independently. If there are any emergencies, I'm the one assessing, I'm the one making the decisions. There are no RNs here, kind of working with me. Nothing like that. There is an RN if there's anything I want or I feel like the RN should be aware about, then I will advise him. But I mean, everything is computerized, so if he wants to know anything, he can go on the computer and see everything that I leave on there. But I work 100% independently. I make the assessments, I make my own decisions, and there's nobody there to confirm or decline the decision that I've made. So no, you don't have to work with an RN. There are many facilities, many places where you could work as an LPN 100% independently. Depending on where you work, you may not necessarily work side by side with an RN, but there may still be one in the building, just because they want someone who has a little bit more nursing education to be in the building to make certain decisions. But in a lot of facilities, they think LPNs are just fine to work on their own. So that is a myth. Another myth that I hear is that LPNs are phasing out. And apparently this is a myth that has been going around since some of my teachers were in nursing school like 20 years ago. Honestly, I don't see LPNs phasing out, especially because every single year they keep adding stuff onto our scope of practice. I mean, practical nurses from like 10 years ago couldn't do nearly as much stuff as we can do now as LPNs. There were no IVs, there were no blood draws, there were no injections or anything like that for LPNs back in the day. It was really just wound dressings, vital signs, eye drops, and maybe some oral medications. But now we can do tracheostomy care, we can do catheters, we can do blood draws, we can do IVs, we can do all these things that we didn't do back then. And personally, if LPNs were phasing out, I don't see why they would keep broadening our scope of practice year by year. And like I said, this is a myth that's been going around apparently since when my teachers were in school, which was like 20 years ago. So LPNs are not going anywhere. We're not getting phased out. Like, no, it's not true. If you become an LPN, you will not be out of a job. Apparently, like, the need for us has increased like dramatically in the past like 5 years or so. So do your research if you want to see the numbers, but LPNs are not being phased out. Okay, next one. And the last myth is that LPNs are wannabe RNs. Now, I'm not gonna deny that a lot of people do use the LPN route as a stepping stone to get their RN degree. However, not every single LPN wants to be an RN. Some people are good as LPNs and they work as LPNs from the beginning to retirement, and they're just fine. However, some people do want to become RNs. However, they couldn't make the time sacrifice or the financial sacrifice to go directly for their RN, and so they decided to go for the LPN, get their feet wet, make sure that nursing is something that they actually like, you know, get comfortable with the whole patient approach with medications, you know, just working in the environment before going for the RN. So no, it is not true that if you are an LPN, you are a wannabe RN. Not everybody wants to be an RN, become an RN. Some people are just good with LPN, like I said before, but a lot of people do use the LPN as a stepping stone to get to their RN degree, okay? So let's just get that straight. Anyway, so that is it for the 5 main myths that I hear about LPNs. I really hope I clarified that for all of you guys out there who are a little bit skeptical or who, you know, are basically asking yourselves these questions. I hope this video helped you. If it did, please make sure you give me a thumbs up and share this video. And if you want to see more content like this and you are not yet subscribed, then please make sure you do so. And most importantly, turn on your notification bell so you will be notified when I post a future video. I hope to see you guys in my next one. Bye.